Hello and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. I am back again with another video. Today, it is the final Friday of July. Bye-bye summer. So crazy. So a few videos back, or maybe more than a few, I did a video talking about the books that were on my TBR list, my to be read list. And they were like the physical copies that I had on hand. Well, today I'm going to talk about the ones that I have on my handy dandy Kindle here. So all of the books that are on my TBR list. And some of these are books that like I got the Prime First Reads, maybe a book or two that I actually bought when they were on sale for like 99 cents or something. And then some of them are from my list. Like, you know how on Amazon, maybe you don't know this, but on Amazon you can create lists and they can be public or private. So like, let's say if you're having a baby shower and you have a bunch of stuff on Amazon that you want to get, like you can create a list on there and then maybe share the link with people. Or if you do have a like say you have a party coming up and you know, have some ideas and maybe some decor stuff that's on there, you can create a private list and, you know, just track things that you want to go back and look at. Well, you can also do that for books. You can do it anything that's on there, but I have one also like a private one for books. That if I see them on like Kindle, I'll go and I'll add to that list so that I can remember, you know, to either read it or go back and look at it or whatever. And some of the books, it's crazy because as far as the books that are on the list, some of them it's like, okay, after I go back and I revisit it, it's like, I don't know why I added that. You know, maybe because I am such a mood reader that at the time I thought, oh, I'm going to read that someday. But when I go back and I look at the blurb, I'm like, I'm so not interested in this. Why is this on my list? And then I just take it off because, like, you know, there are so many books on there. And I'm not going to go through every single book that's on the list because, like I said, some of them I've kind of changed my mind about. So I don't want to waste time talking about. I may be looking down as I try to find the books on my Kindle, and then I'll show you guys what they are. So one of the first books that I actually started reading, and I am still very interested in this book, but I just, like, I can't get my mind right to continue scrolling once I start reading it, right? And that's not to say that, oh, that's the mark of a bad book. Like, sometimes books have so much detail, and, like, if you're not focused enough to kind of pick up all of that, to pull everything together in your head, then it's not going to be a good reading experience. So I just kind of like say, forget it. I'll come back to this one. And that one is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jesse Q. Sutanto. And this actually, to be honest, I think maybe what's keeping me from reading this one is that I know it's a part of a series. And I'm just hoping that it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. I'm very interested in the story, but I got too many books to like really dive in a series right now. So okay? This is about a woman named Vera Wong. She's a shopkeeper. She's an older woman. She has a tea shop in the middle of San Francisco's Chinatown. And she lives alone, but one day she comes downstairs and there's a unalived man in the middle of her tea shop. Okay. So the story, from what it sounds like in the blurb, is that she tries to figure out like who he is and how he died and how he came to be in her shop. Right. But one thing that it mentions in the blurb is that before she calls the cops, she finds a flash drive on the man and she takes it. So just based on that, I'm interested in knowing who is the man, what was on the flash drive. Vera, girl, is you in danger? Like, you know, so just that alone, you know, has me like very interested in this story. And I'm going to have to go and look at the blurb for the second one, because if it just becomes a thing where she's just a busybody kind of solving, you know, these crimes, then that I can deal with because I don't have to move on to the next one. But I just don't want a cliffhanger, that because then I'm feel obligated, because, you know, my mind is not going to be settled till I know, you know, what happened in the next book. And then there's I have Some Other Time by Angela Brown. Some Other Time. Okay, so this one, a couple is on the brink of divorce. A woman named Ellie and her husband Jonah. They're headed to Florida because they want to take this, I guess, last family trip the way it sounds, and they're going to share with their family that they are getting a divorce, and they've been married for 20 years, and they've just fallen out of love, according to the blurb. And they have a college-age daughter, and her father is there as well as her mother. So just all their family is in Florida, and that's why they chose that spot to let everybody know, hey, we're on our separate ways. They're there for the week, trying to just reassure everybody else, even though it technically ain't nobody's business. But I guess after 20 years, people are so connected and entrenched in your marriage. But this is what made me pick it up. One morning, Ellie wakes up to an alternate version of the present day, one in which she and a passing stranger named Jonah never married. Okay, so her and Jonah didn't marry when she wakes up in this alternate timeline of her life. So I'm just interested to see, because it sounds like the other mentions that he's a stranger, and that she's going to see him in this new timeline. But will they end up finding their way to each other? And that was their destiny all along, to get married, whether it lasts or not. So I'm just really curious in that to see how that plays out. So that's what got me, because I love like time travel, alternate timelines, and things like that. So some other time. Let's see. Then you got Best House on the Block by T.R. Ragan. Okay, so it says aspiring investigative journalist Shannon Gibbons and her family have moved into a beautiful house in the fabulous 40s of East Sacramento, where Shannon finds a fast connection with her new neighbor, a renowned journalist named Rosella Marlowe. Rosella, apparently, she must be either on the downside of her career or taking a break or something, but she comes across like she's really friendly and she wants to help Shannon, but this one line says that bitter, resentful, and consumed by excruciating grief, Rosella is obsessed with wiping the smiles off of her new neighbors' faces. So she's going to be stabbing somebody in the back. She's watching closely and ready to expose their secrets. So, yeah, I need to know, what secrets does Shannon and her family have? That's what drove me to this one. And then there's like a death, an investigation. So this one sounds like it's going to be twisty. Everybody's going to be a suspect, and you're not going to, be able to figure things out. So I live for those kind of stories. So I'm excited to one day, dive into that one. And I always think that it's good to have, stories kind of waiting in the wing, because I'm such a mood reader, whether it's actual copies over there on my TBR shelf, like physical books, or if it's books that are on the Kindle. I always have something to read, and with so many new books coming out, I've never been at a point where I'm like, there's just nothing to read. But sometimes it can be like when you go on the TV and say, there's nothing to watch, because you have too many choices. But I always manage to start flipping through, looking at blurbs again, and then just diving into a story. So, there is an upside to it. Then you got 69 Million Things I Hate About You by Kira Archer. And there's a little tagline at the top that says, it's her turn for a little payback. And I'm going to tell you why I got this one. This is more in the vein of a rom-com situation. So let's see. So after personal assistant Kirsten Abbott wins $69 million in the lotto, so that's hence the title, 69 Million Things I Hate About You. And I guess that's a take on, what's the name of the movie? Was it 10 Things I Hate About You? Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You. But so she wins the lotto, and she has more than enough money to quit her demanding job. And it says, but where's the fun in that? She decides to stay and exact a little revenge on her insufferable ass of a boss. So her boss is billionaire Cole Harrington, and he quickly realizes something is afoot with his usually agreeable personal assistant. So she's, I guess, starting to like push back and say and do things she would have never dared, because she has this little nest egg, this money over here. If you fire me, dude, oh well. But in the meantime, I'm gonna give you a taste of your own medicine. Isn't that the dream? Could you imagine, like, if you're in a job that you really hate, and people have been, just pushing your buttons, but you've been real cool about things because you need the job. Well, as for me, I probably would just quit with no notice. But I also like the idea of staying around and showing them this is who I really am. And the reason why y'all didn't catch it is because I needed this job. Now that I don't, the gloves are off, all bets are off. Say something stupid to me if you want to, So this is, sounds like this trope is going to be like an enemies to lover, because they have an office pool going now, because even people in the office are like, oh, what's up with her? She's going to get fired. So they have a pool going to see if he's going to fire her, like, or how long it will take. And so the last paragraph says, the game is on, with everyone waiting to see who will crack first. But the bet sparks a new dynamic between them, and soon they realize they just might have crossed the fine line between hate and love. Because I'm sure just from reading this, like this blurb, if she was somebody, if he knew he was an asshole and everybody else did too, and she was kind of putting up with his, everything that he dished out, he probably thought she was a pushover, right? But now he sees this spark in her. I'm sure he's going to find that a bit attractive. I may have to push this one up on the list. I forgot this was even buried on the Kindle. I'm gonna do one more from stories that are actually on here, and then I'll do a couple from my list. Okay, I just noticed this, so I'm having this reaction real time. I had this book on here. It's been on here for a while. The book is called The Better Sister by Alifar Burke, and this is now a series on Prime. So I waited so long to read the book. I think that's going to happen with a lot of books that are on my list, because I've seen books that I have, like physical copies, and that are on my Kindle, and they say, soon to be a series or a movie or whatever, and I hadn't read them. Like We Were Liars. That had been on my list forever. Now it's on Prime. So I don't know. I'm going to remind myself what this one was about. I mean, I can kind of glean because I have seen previews for the Prime show, but let me see why I picked this one up initially. Okay, I see and from the trailer, I would have never got what this blurb just told me. And I probably will not watch the series, but I might go and read this book, though. I might read this book, because sounds like they're two sisters. They're estranged. One went on to do, big things with her life, whatever. She got married, and her husband is killed when an intruder enters their house, and he's killed. And so I don't know. It's like her sister comes back into her life. Oh, it says she reluctantly allows her teenage stepson's biological mother, who is her sister. So apparently the sister and the husband were together first, and they had a kid, and then he ended up with the other sister, hence maybe something to do with the title, The Better Sister. And I see now why they were estranged. Okay, see, this is good and messy, but the caveat here is that the reason why she let her back in her life is because they're blaming the son for the father's death. And it says the two sisters are forced to unite and to confront the truth behind family secrets they have tried to bury in the past. So yeah, I think I would just probably read the story instead of having to follow several different episodes of a show. Interesting. Okay. I'm definitely going to add that, keep that on the list. So now I'm going to move on to maybe 3 books real quick on my list. I'm going to share one that I recently added, and then maybe a couple that have been on there. So one of the books that I recently added, because it's not already on my Kindle, the page is going to look a little different. I don't know if you can see it. A Happy Marriage by A.R. Torrey. And I've read several books by that author that I haven't been disappointed by. Okay, so in this particular one, it's a couple. Homicide detective named Dinah, and her husband is a psychologist or psychiatrist named Joe, right? And it seems like maybe the woman, like Dinah, gets assigned to a case for a missing woman, and her husband might have something to do with that. Okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah. As Dinah digs deeper into her case, tension works its way inside their picture perfect home. Now, the carefully constructed lies between them don't just simply threaten the delicate balance of their marriage, they could kill. Okay, yeah. Definitely gonna keep that on the list to read. Let's see. One of the oldest books that's on here is I read like the Anna Huang, she has the Twisted series, and I have read all the books in the series except for Twisted Game. That's the only one I didn't read because I don't know, like the whole idea of like her being a princess, like a bona fide princess. I'm just not into those type of stories, right? But I liked Bridget's character in the other stories. So this one is where she gets with her bodyguard, Reese. So I'm going to read it. You know, I think these 456 pages are also kind of keeping me, you know, from diving into it. Because when I read romance stories, I like for them to flow, and let's keep it moving, especially if it's like a rom-com-ish, or you know, with a trope like friends to lovers, or you know, enemies to lovers, or boyfriend's sister, I mean best friend's sister, those type of stories. Like, they need to move a bit quicker. And sometimes, like some of these authors in romance stories, they're giving us too much backstory. I feel like that's reserved for if we're trying to solve a case or a mystery. Anything else, I feel like it's just superfluous. So anyway, I will get to this one because first of all, it has over 100,000 ratings on Amazon at almost 5 stars. So that many people can't be lying about this book. Maybe I'll get to this one before the end of the year. We'll see. Okay, and then the last book I am going to mention on my list. First of all, there's about 30 books on my list, but they aren't downloaded yet on my Kindle, so I don't know if that really counts as TBR, because like I mentioned at the top of this video, I may go back and delete some of these. I'm trying to give a good variety of the type of books that are on there. So, of course, I have the mystery, suspense, got a rom-com, but also I have read books by this author, Barbara Davis, and I have never been disappointed either by her. This one is called Every Precious and Fragile Thing. She does a lot of literary fiction, a lot of women's fiction, and the stories are just always so beautifully told, and the imagery and, you know, everything is just always so powerful. So in this one, there's a social worker named Mallory. One of her clients, an at-risk youth, is killed, and she finds herself at a crossroads. So she, you know, her and her mother are estranged, but she decides to head to her childhood home just because she needs to get kind of reset, I guess, from what happened with this kid. And, you know, she comes face to face with her mother, and her mother's name is Helen. And she is someone who takes care of terminally ill people. And her work has always come first, leaving little time to connect with her daughter. So over the years, the rift between them has become a chasm. So when her daughter appears unannounced, you know, Mallory's like, this is a chance to, you know, to kind of repair this relationship. But this is the last sentence. But hidden among Helen's mementos are the keys to her past, and a terrible secret that threatens to destroy the fragile new trust between them forever. So yeah, this seems like this is going to be one of those family dramas with, you know, stuff hidden in the past. Not necessarily, you know, like a murder type mystery or whatever, but maybe something that she kept from her daughter. And as we learn more about their relationship and their journey to healing, all of her stories have just been something that hits something emotional in me, and I'm looking forward to this one. And it's over 400 pages, so whenever I dive into this one, I want to make sure that I am totally engaged and focused and can, you know, finish it up relatively, you know, in a good amount of time and not have to keep putting it down. So anyway. So that's all I want to share with you guys today. You know, the TBR lists are constant and ever growing. I have several screenshots on my phone of books. And what I usually do though with the screenshots, I'll screenshot and then I go and add it to the list. After I go and read the blurb and see if it's something I really want to do or read, then I'll add it to the list so that I can get it off my phone. So, yeah, I always have something to read. You know, whenever the mood hits me, I can go pull out a memoir, a nonfiction, a fiction, a mystery, suspense, romance, whatever genre that I'm in the mood for at the time. So anyway, if you have heard of any of the books that I mentioned today, or if any of them are on your TBR, let me know in the comments. You know, if you've started to read any of the books, or if you've read any of them, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video and go ahead and take the opportunity to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Thanks again. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.